Hello, people of the Twittery Pipes. I'm Mr. Spork, and these are Mr. Spork's hands. One of the things I've discovered up here in Spork's Mercado Latino is that it's really hard to be a taco addict the farther away you get from Texas and California and all those places where Tex-Mex cuisine is featured. I can't find the most basic of ingredients. Things like masa harina I have to import, and I only get the most basic of chilies. But one of the things that I really miss being able to grab off the shelf for $3 at any grocery store in America is taco sauce. And I know this is a bit of a problem even on the west coast of the States, because I was talking to a friend of mine in Boston the other day, and she didn't even know what taco sauce was. I think it's somewhere between a hot sauce and a salsa. It's blended smooth, it's a little bit milder than hot sauce so that you can use it by the spoonful on your tacos without ruining it, and it's not as chunky as a salsa, it doesn't have as much tomato. And that's the problem I found when I went looking for recipes online. I couldn't find anybody that was really starting with a chili base. They were all using tomato and trying to boil it down, and I think that's the wrong approach. What you really need to do is take dried red chilies, and you're going to soak them, and then add the ingredients and blend it smooth, and you're done. It's that easy. Let me do a real quick rundown of what you're going to need for this recipe, though. Get yourself a scale so that you can be accurate, and that way you can reproduce your results. You're going to need a little bit of plain old tomato paste. You're going to need some sea salt. You're going to need some apple cider vinegar, a little bit of onion, jalapenos. I've got ghost peppers today, but you could use jalapenos, or more jalapenos, or habaneros, or even Scotch bonnets if you wanted it really hot. Some Thai chilies, some garlic peeled, and this is the important part, these red dried chilies. This is the base that we're going to use instead of tomato, and that was the real problem with the recipes I saw online. They were starting with tomatoes and trying to cook it down. That's doomed to failure. Get yourself some dried chilies. I'll show you what to do with them right after this. Okay, so we're set up with the super blender and we're ready to make some taco sauce. The hardest part, or the most finicky part of this recipe, it's not difficult at all, is cleaning the red chilies. Basically, you're just going to take the stem, you're going to pop the top off, and you're going to try to save most of those seeds, get them out of the way, and then the seeds that are in the actual chili, you're going to want to try to shake them out. You can see I've got all the detritus from the chilies that came out here. You're going to lose a few ounces on the chilies, maybe a few grams, I should say, on the chilies when you clean them out. So the recipe that I will make sure and link down below in the comments section so that you have all these measurements is chilies after they've been cleaned. That's the weight of the chilies after they've been cleaned. In this case, it's about 115 grams, right at 4 ounces worth of dried red chilies. And the device of choice today, we are going to the super blender, because the super blender is going to let me gently warm the sauce as well as get it down to a really fine consistency. Basically, I don't want to bring this up to a super boil, because you're going to lose a lot of the character that you get from the various ingredients, the acid of the vinegar and the fresh chilies and such. You're going to lose something if you heat it that much. So super blender. If you don't have a mega blender, that's okay. You can use any kind of ordinary blender. You may just have to run it through a fine mesh strainer after the fact if it didn't catch all the little tiny bits. So there you go. 4 ounces of hot chilies, or excuse me, mild chilies in there. And then I'm going to take very hot water. This is boiling water out of my kettle, and I'm going to go right just a little bit to get it going. And then I'm going to take and blend them a little bit just so all the chilies get down below the water line. Pardon the noise. I always get this wrong. Just getting them going there. There we go. Now they're down below the water line. Now I'm going to take that liquid measure up to 400 milliliters. If I can find on the side of my thing, right there, that's 400 milliliters. And now I just want to let those chilies sit and soak in the hot water, probably about 10 or 15 minutes so that they soften up really well. Okay, so it's been about 10 or 15 minutes worth of chili soaking. We have this gorgeous soaked red chili paste in here. After about 5 minutes, I hit the pulse button a few more times just to make sure everything got down below, again, the water level so that it had time to soak. 15 minutes or so, and you're ready to go. And now it's dead simple. It's just a matter of dumping the rest of your ingredients in. We've got about 50 grams worth of peeled and ready to go garlic cloves. We've got 6 grams of sea salt going in there. About 85-90 grams worth of yellow onion. You could use plain old white onion. I use the apple cider vinegar to rinse out my tomato paste can, and that's 35 grams of apple cider vinegar. And here is the little can of tomato paste. In that goes. So insanely simple. Don't want to miss any of it, because that's good concentrated flavor. And then while I was away, I went and cleaned out all of my chilies. That's the habaneros, the Thai chilies, and the jalapenos. And I've given you the proportions again in the recipe down below. That's about 4 ounces of jalapenos. I think it was 15 or 20 grams of the hot ghost chilies is what I use today, but you could use habaneros for the super hot component. And I've added about 8 grams of Thai chilies. And it's the mix of chilies that gives this a really interesting flavor. So try to get at least 2 or 3 different kinds in there on top of your red chili base. Now, if you're not a big fan of the heat, don't sweat it. No pun intended. What you can do is just substitute any or all of these with plain old red bell pepper, and you're going to get obviously a much milder approach from that. But do get a little bit of kick in there because that's what taco sauce is all about. So in goes all of those cleaned chilies. No stems, no veins, no seeds. All of those are out of there. And now we're just going to let the blender do its work. And again, I want this to gently heat just a little bit. So I'm going to probably let it sit there and grind for maybe a good minute and a half, 2 minutes, all right? I'm going to slowly work up to full bore. So there we go. After about a minute and a half, 2 minutes worth of blending, you can see we've got an incredibly smooth sauce. There's even a little bit of steam coming off the top there. Take a look at that. How's that for taco sauce, people? That's amazingly good stuff. It's only going to get better as it chills and comes together over the next couple days. If you don't have a super blender, you may again want to put it into a saucepan and just gently heat it, but don't take it anywhere near boiling because we'll lose all that lovely melange of flavors, shall we say, that we put into it with the different chilies and such. So gentle warming is fine. And when you go to store it, try to avoid metal lids. I get a mason jar with a plastic lid. That works perfectly well. Or if you're really clever, you can get one of these squeeze bottles so you can apply it exactly where you want on the taco. Or if you're incredibly thrifty, save your old sriracha bottles because they make great little applicators with, again, no metal closure. Put this in the fridge. It's good for probably 3 or 4 weeks, if not longer, because there's a good amount of acid in there. So I think you should be safe, but it never lasts longer than a month around my house. Hope you've enjoyed this video. We will talk to you next time from Spork's Kitchen.